Welcome to the Founding Voices podcast, a series of conversations with the humans who showed up before there was a map. I'm Perry, the founder of the Octopus movement, and I believe nonlinear thinking is not just a way of creating possibilities, it's a way of being in the world. Each week, I speak with three founding members of our global human mycelium. It's our community to explore who they are, why they think differently, and how they're shaping a future that cannot be built in straight lines. Well, let's meet today's guest. Today's guest is someone operating in the intersection of business clarity, digital complexity, and artificial intelligence. Matt Hampton is not just a digital strategist, he is what he calls a business translator. We will talk about that. In a world where marketing has become fragmented, websites, mobile apps, social media, automation, AI, data, bots, analytics, Mac minis, and whatnot, most leaders don't suffer from a lack of tools. They suffer from a lack of coherence. Matt spent more than 25 years navigating that complexity. He helps organizations with clarify their vision, architect AI-first strategies, and deploy technology in ways that actually create measurable growth, not digital noise. He works where ambition meets infrastructure. And what fascinates me the most is this. In a hyperlinear world of funnels, KPIs, dashboards, binary shit, and conversion rates, you still need a nonlinear thinking dude to see the whole system. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
I should pay you to do my intros all the time. That was wonderful.
How cool was that?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, man. Awesome to talk to you as always.
I'm so happy you're here, and seriously, I'm so curious about that nonlinear brain of yours and how that works in this world of AI and computers. But I want to go to the basics of everything with the first question, and that's, can you describe the octopus in you? Meaning, what is it that makes you a nonlinear thinker?
Great question. Well, I think a thing I tell a lot of clients, and I've talked about quite a bit in general, is that I went to art school. I actually have 2 art degrees, one in figure drawing, which is quite literally drawing naked people, and one in graphic design, which is a lot more linear, to use parlance from the octopus, right? But it's also super analytical. And the thing I tell people about art school is, the funny thing nobody knows about art school is they don't give a shit about your art. They assume if you're in art school, you're really good at photography, painting, drawing, whatever. And yeah, you'll get better because you're going to do a lot of it. But what they really care about, I don't want to say myopically so, but almost exclusively so, is critical creative thinking. Like, how do you ask a better question? Because art isn't in what normal people interpret, right? If it was, we'd all be an artist, right? And that's not the case, right? And so what they want you to do is really dissect a problem, right? Like, get to the marrow of whatever it is you're talking about, and then figure out what is the most interesting pieces to discover in there. And that's almost exclusively the right answer when you're talking about art. But what's funny is when you look at that more widely, you're like, you know what? That's actually a great life skill in general. Forget about art. I mean, that's super helpful in art for sure. Certainly separates. In the Museum of Modern Art, there is a piece called Blue Panel by Ellsworth Kelly. It's literally exactly what you think it is. It's a giant canvas painted blue. Right? And like, the thing isn't the technical adeptness required to paint this canvas. It's literally just painting blue on a canvas. What it is talking about, like, why is this in place? You know, we see a bunch of artists throughout history doing that. Basquiat, Jackson Pollock, like, there's a bunch of people that paint what most people would be like, this is fucking bananas. Like, why is this good? Or an Andy Warhol, like the Campbell soup cans. Like, this isn't art. Well, says who, right? Like, who said that a Campbell soup can isn't art? And Andy Warhol was like, well, let's look at what that might look like if Campbell soup was art. He didn't do anything really different. Anyone could have taken a picture of a Campbell soup can. So where I'm going with this is like, I think when the joke that I make is AI is the job we were training for our whole lives and didn't know, right? Because it's basically like an extension of that chaotic mess of questioning that goes on in your mind. It just helps you get there faster. And I love AI for me personally, because it lets me sort of explore these ideas really, really fast. And that's been exciting because it's also helpful is to kind of prioritize that stuff in your head, right? Because sometimes sitting in a room, sort of working out an idea, you're off on a channel, you're like, I don't know where I'm at. And then anyone who's ever done like an IMDb search or or a Wikipedia search, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I on the middle name of the Roman Empire in 13? You're like, I don't, how did I even get here? AI can help you sort of work through that stuff too. So basically, I guess how I view everything is there's the question that somebody asked you, and there's the 25 questions they didn't know they were asking you by virtue of the fact they asked you that question and not a different question.
And that's the inner octopus of Matt.
Yeah,
Right?
totally. 100%.
I so agree with you. And that blue painting, there's a story about that it was restored, and the person in charge of the restoration of that painting just took a big paintbrush and was like just blew over it like it's done, and that caused a lot of issues. We have an art piece in the Netherlands. You won't believe this. It's peanut butter on the floor, so it's a square on the floor, and it's just peanut butter, and it was sold to a museum for $500,000. And yeah, that's nonlinear thinking at its best.
Totally.
Right? It's not about the peanut butter. It's not about the floor. It's not about the fact that the peanut butter is on the floor. It's about what happens around it,
Yeah.
And that's how I see the beauty between thoughts, because it's not about the peanut butter. It's not about the blue, and it is about the peanut butter and the blue. How cool is that?
It's all about all that. Yeah. And like, I often find myself, and I've gotten better at this as I've gotten older, because when I was in my 20s, you should have seen, I was a fucking shit show. Like, it was just a disaster. Like, I was a very organized on the outward, organized, I guess, shit show. But on the inside, like, I just didn't have an understanding of how this was supposed to be out there. Right. Like, it wasn't clear to me. And as I've gotten older, I've realized I'm going to answer this person's question. I'm going to show them whatever I need to show them. But I need to take 10 requisite steps before I answer the question to get them to understand what the answer is. Mm-hmm. So I now prep people. I'm like, hey, listen, you got to follow me on this for a second, because it's not going to make sense until the very end. and they laugh, and then like I start out with something, and then they're like, oh, he wasn't kidding. This is completely, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, it's all over, and then we follow the bouncing ball and we end up exactly where they needed to be. But if they weren't paying attention, like, and I could see, this is why I need to do these kinds of conversations in person, or, where I could watch them, because you can get a sense, like, is somebody following this or not? Because if they aren't following you, then it becomes hard to kind of land the plane. But if they are following you and you do land the plane, that's when nonlinear people look at that and go, holy shit, I never, ever, 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 ever would have landed here. Yeah. Ever. Full stop.
And going back to the Arts Academy and art by itself, you have people that go into the museum and say immediately, I don't understand, right? I don't understand. What is this? It needs to be meaningful. And then you have people that can see it. And I was at the Louis Vuitton Foundation in Paris around Christmas. And Gerrit de Richter's show was there, his exhibition, and there were these gray mirrors in the last room. It was so fucking amazing, Matt. But it was... I understand that if you are in a way very linear and tight underwear and everything needs to be like this, that you're standing there and you're thinking these are just mirrors, right? And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I understand everything. I don't understand shit. But I could feel what was going on, and I think that's the beauty of art and the beauty of nonlinear thinkers and the beauty of people like you and other founding members. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun too because people don't think that there's like value in that. But if you look at the banana guy, Catalan, I think at Art Basel, who taped a banana to the wall, right?
Isn't that wonderful? Yeah.
I mean, like what a great idea, but what it is, and I think again, this is a good life lesson, is there's an absurdity to duct taping a banana to the wall.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It doesn't, and by the way, oh, we'll get to that in a second, but you've taped a banana to the wall, which is intrinsically a little weird, but then you're like, look, this is a commentary on art and art in general, and the perception and the absurdity of art and how people perceive it, put into a form that clearly identifies the absurdity, right? Like it is phrased in a way that you cannot help but to think, oh my God, this is insane. Funnier still, and this is what I was coming back to, is the banana will rot. It's not even a static art piece. It actually just decays with time, which further emphasizes the absurdity that we're in this like
the art will disappear.
The art will disappear. No, and
Yeah.
I think Banksy did the shredding thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you know, like, I mean, there's versions of this story, right? But what's funny about all of this is like people who don't know art, who don't understand art, who've never thought to question art or the construct of art ever one time could look at a banana taped to the wall and be brought in. That instant. And that's what I think is interesting about problems when you look at them through a nonlinear lens, right? It's like, okay, here's this thing that might be hard for you to understand, or maybe you've never thought about it before, and we need to get you immediately into empathy rather than like spending weeks or months or years like that person has spent refining, asking, re-asking, re-asking, you know, and land that plane real fast, right? And like we can do that now with AI, we can do that with technology. And it was kind of the reason why I got into technology in the first place, you know, a quarter century ago, which makes me feel really old, by the way, when you said that. But I got into technology because it's a way to land it for people who aren't in that world, right? So it was the way I could Rosetta Stone what's going on in my head to what other people would be able to understand.
So IT and AI is the perfect dance partner for the nonlinear mind, right?
I think
we were just going, you know, ballistics and nerdy all about it before we went live. This is the century where it's happening, where us nonlinear thinkers are going to be so pleased and so happy. I want to know how you see this. So let's talk about the Clawbot or OpenClaw. I don't know how to call it. It's just acquired by OpenAI, of course.
Of course.
And, of course. And I'm planning
something
to
slightly better than you, just buy them. It's the way to do it.
So fascinating.
It's
and
so
I look
cool.
at these all these videos, and we're going to create in this interview a little video about that as well, how we see it as nonlinear thinkers. Then people are like, oh, I'm so disappointed. Or what I also find very funny, oh, it's not plug and play, so I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Where life needs to be plug and play. Everything that is interesting is not plug and play, in my opinion, but okay. Matt, how do you see this? Because now you can have your local LLM, your local AI on a local machine, and you can work together, and it can be, it pretends to be a human sitting next to you at your desk, executing things, what you're executing. And I believe that with a nonlinear mind, with art in mind, you can create something powerful and beautiful rather than, oh, it needs to execute this way, and oh, I have this disappointments because I have these expectations. How do you see the world today and how we celebrate nonlinear thinking from that angle? Let's go nuts about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about because it's so near and dear. But think of it this way, right? Through the whole history of humanity, right? The most groundbreaking things, the most interesting things, the most noteworthy things did not happen quickly, right? it's like a rule of thumb, right? Very, very rarely. Even people are like, oh, they had this bolt of lightning, the light bulb moment. I'm like, the fucking light bulb took a gabillion iterations to get right? You know what I mean? So like even the fucking light bulb isn't a light bulb moment, right? Like it took tedious amounts of time and failure to get to. So first and foremost, out of the gate, I think that our proclivity to think of things as plug and play is fundamentally at odds with the reality of evolution itself, right? Evolution is not quick. It's not easy.
Even the banana with the duct tape wasn't plug and play, probably.
Was not at all plug and play. That dude had been a lifelong artist, had thought about art at an atomic level for most of his life, if not all of his life, right?
Exactly.
And so, yeah, you're right. It's not it. And so if you have to explain this to somebody, and if I find myself in a conversation explaining to somebody why plug and play is not going to fit long-term, then one of two things is going to happen, right? Either this person's not going to be able to be brought into that conversation because they just won't understand it because they're fighting a mountain of bias that social media, that the internet, that the plug and plays of the world, the TV dinners in the 50s, all the way up to ChatGPT or ChatGPT even, but I'm thinking more like social stuff, right? Has taught them that convenience is the right answer, right? Convenience is the only answer. It's not just the right answer, it's the only answer. And that life has to be convenient in order for me to do it. And then I hear people often tell me from a technology standpoint, well, we just need it to be easier for the end user. Well, that's true. I mean, you do need people to be able to use it. But like OpenClaw is a great example, right? And we were talking about this before the show. OpenClaw actually has the potential to do a lot of really cool stuff. But it's not a 5-minute install. There are a lot of videos out there, clickbait videos in particular, that are like the 5-minute OpenClaw. Yeah, okay, well.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Turning on a computer to a DOS prompt, like a Linux kernel to a terminal prompt, is intrinsically a very simple thing. You literally flip a switch, boom, there it is, it's on. But if you're staring at a blinking cursor in a terminal window, what the fuck are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. If you don't even know what a terminal window is, you think the computer
or where to find it on your computer. Right. Yeah. Right. Where is that?
You're used to your computer turning on and you log in and you're off to the races and you're double clicking on things and stuff. Those are just fancy veneers, which by the way, took decades to perfect, right? Those are just front ends to what's happening in the background, which is a blinking cursor prompt, right? It's a blinking little prompt in the background and all this fancy stuff that you're looking at right now, that's all just the front end. And that's cool. But like somebody had to envision that, right? Like you think about like we take it all for granted now, but when you go back to the Apple days, right? When they first came out with that first operating system, like what people can't understand is how fucking groundbreaking that was. Like that was next level thinking, like next level thinking. Like we had forever had.
You mean the Macintosh?
Right. Like the fact that there was a mouse, the fact that there was a desktop,
crazy, right?
There was a little trash can icon. Like we all take this for granted now. We have it on our iPhones, we have it on our Androids, we have it on our iPads, we have it on, whatever you're using. But like that all started with, hey, should we put a little trash can to let people know?
Yeah, it makes so much sense now, but it is the thought you shared, that one question is another question and another question and another question for nonlinear thinkers. So that mouse, the story of the mouse is awesome, of course.
Yeah, I love.
The mouse is invented by a nonlinear thinker, and I think using AI in today's world with a nonlinear brain will create awesome things.
Well, and that's where I was going with it, right? Like, back in the day, you had to have somebody who thought of the idea of making a trash can picture represent something that's going to be thrown away. Like this was groundbreaking. Now, I think AI doesn't invent things, right? It just surfaces things that it finds, right? And things that are already there. So if you're a really bad thinker, AI is just going to make you bad thinking at scale. It's going to make it really, really obvious, right? And like a couple things that can happen for that. You could be wildly embarrassed because your company looks like shit in public face. You could have a system that catastrophically implodes upon itself because you didn't realize your data was a mess. There's a bunch of versions of that story that could happen. So I think that in this AI world, the nonlinear thinker becomes the CEO.
Yeah.
The nonlinear thinker becomes that brain power is the currency of this, right? Like it's not just a good skill to have, it becomes the skill to have. And I think that when you look at, and in 2017,
and it's always been like that. If you look at all the founders in the world who created awesome companies, all nonlinear thinkers, people, right? But there is
the big ones, yeah,
the big ones. But there is this weird thing going on that you need to have linear results to celebrate nonlinear brilliance. So, as a whole, as who we are as humanity, we're not able to see that nonlinear brilliance immediately because we've been so conditioned in that other space that are boxed in and clarity and tight underwear, as I always say.
Yeah.
And I think that's changing, that we're going to see that nonlinear brilliance can be celebrated even before linear results, right?
And what I think is cool about this, yes, and right, yes, and because now a nonlinear thinker who's really wrapped up in the how and the why and all that stuff can say to an AI agent, hey, I need help translating this to people who don't see this vision. And the AI is going to be like, hey, I'm going to switch to tight underwear mode, and we're going to give you a dashboard that's going to show everybody the data points of all of this. And now you have a situation where you can really bridge, if you use these tools right, or I should say efficiently or effectively. I don't want to say right or wrong. It's not a judgment thing per se, but there's certainly, if you're using these things in a way that amplifies what you're trying to get across, which a nonlinear thinker should be really good at, right? But I think some of that also comes with a little bit of self-awareness and say, hey, look, I'm down the rabbit hole pretty deep. So Matt, be sure to remind the person you're talking to bear with you for the next 10 steps while I land this. AI could help you do that from a functional standpoint by saying, look, I got this. I've built the flux capacitor. We are good to go. But how the hell do I show anybody that I did that? Well, AI can help you figure that out, right? And that's just the front end veneer here, right? Like that's just that last delivery mile, which is a solvable problem, very solvable problem, right?
And from a humanity point of view, I'm excited to have a local LLM machine working and dancing together with me, because now everything is in the cloud of Claude or OpenAI or whatever, and it's not mine. But with a local LLM machine, it's mine, right? Do I see that correctly? Then it's
yeah, it is. And here's where that's important. If you're developing, there's a lot of, right now we're in this weird adolescent phase of AI is what I'm viewing this as, right? And what that means is that people are building a lot of stuff that they couldn't build before, right? Which is great. It's opening up all kinds of potential. But if you're building stuff that's essentially just a wrapper for a ChatGPT, then your little fun new thing that you've brought to the world will be stolen by ChatGPT weeks to months, but not longer than a year from now. If it's useful, right? Like if it's useful. So in other words, I don't think you are doing anybody, yourself included, a favor by coming up with a lightning bolt idea and then doing the entire thing inside of ChatGPT, because they're just going to absorb it.
And it's happening probably
left, right, and
lot.
center. No, it's happening all over the place.
Right. I'm so curious about the data sheets of OpenAI. What's going on with all these thoughts that are being shared?
Well, think about
how
this.
do they deal with that?
Let's just say, you ever see, I don't know if I know you have an international audience, but if anyone watched the Super Bowl, there was a Base 44 commercial about an office setting, and a bunch of people were like, I could build apps. Holy, and there's like a lot of pandemonium in the office. Oh, I built a cat app and I built the protein tracker. Little tiny piece of that commercial that came and went real fast and no one really noticed it. there's two guys that kind of roll their desk chairs over and they're like, did we just build the same app? And I was like, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. One person designs a very cool app in ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. It's no big deal. It's noise in the system. Two people, still probably noise. 2,000 people though, that becomes signal.
That's the signal.
Yeah, right. And now
you think that's happening now? Yeah.
I know it's happening. You're seeing it all over the place. What do you think Claude or ChatGPT is smart enough to come up with all these like UX and not UX, feature updates? Hell no. No, Sam Altman is a fucking salesman and a fundraiser, full stop. Like that's it. And it's not a dock on him. Those are two great skills to have in business, especially a multi-billion-dollar business, right? But he has to stay focused on that. What he cannot do is figure out all the use cases that we want to use. But you know who can? All the millions of users that are using it. And so a bunch of people come up with a bunch of cool ideas, but when that noise becomes signal, then that signal gets absorbed. And because AI is doing exactly what AI does, it is rank stacking those things, right? So as it's coming in, look at all these things. 10 million people came up with the same protein tracker. Great. Guess what's coming out in the next release?
Here we go. So I could see now this old-fashioned printer, Matt, at OpenAI with the paper with the holes in it.
Yeah.
And constantly new ideas. Right. Like, next. Found a signal, found another signal.
Right.
It's amazing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that my local LLM will understand the tight underwear mode. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. See, and that's something that's like, that's where I think, and you're kind of laughing because we said it here, but here's where that becomes wickedly important. In a world where your IP is easily stolen, right? Like if you're using somebody else's tool to build your IP, then there's nothing, you don't own anything, right? It's not, because without OpenAI, you don't have anything. But that's not the only way to build apps or explore your idea, right? There's a whole universe of possibility out there, right? And I'm working on a project right now that uses Python and 3 different AIs in pieces, and no one knows what the other one's doing except me. I do. Our team does. But we understand that segmenting this out and keeping it very hard to understand what the whole is doing isn't just pedantic current Matt crazy programmer people thinking. It's literally setting a foundation for the future to not let your idea and hard work get absorbed into the machine that is these frontier model companies, right? And a lot of people don't understand, and this is where the linear brain comes back into the conversation. There's all these little tiny models that fit on your computer, like Olama and a couple other Minstrel, and these little tiny, much smaller models. Yeah, they're not going to give you the reasoning that a frontier model is, but you know what they are? They are highly trainable, and in a lot of cases, when you're looking at niche down requirements, are much better at executing. You know who can tell you all about that? OpenClaw. You know who can help you set that up? A bunch of different LLMs. And if you start thinking about how the pieces all fit into a bigger piece, right? How do you make the big puzzle? Then you start realizing that it's not just a simple straight line. The tight underwear people will tell you Claude Code is better than Codex. Okay, well, who cares? Because next week it's going to flip-flop, right? The week after that, it'll be a new one, right? But it's those people that you said that go, oh, it's not plug and play. Those are the tight underwear people that are like, it's got to be this little straight line or else it doesn't work. I'm like, well, not really. The fact that you can't get it to work makes me know that I'm on the right track.
That there's something interesting, right? I'm always excited when people are saying, no, that's not a good idea. Then I'm always thinking, that might be interesting.
That might be the best idea, actually.
Because everybody is saying that that's a good idea, or it's not powerful enough because everybody tried and it's not working or whatever. I don't have to train myself. Matt, considering time, oh God, we could have made this easily into a 1-hour podcast, but 30 minutes are almost up.
Here we are.
I have the final question for you that I love to ask, which is so important. You can whisper a sentence into someone's ear, and the whole world will hear it in their own language, simultaneously, immediately, all over the flipping bloody world. What would you whisper?
Use your tools available to you and understand that everything is a tool.
That's an interesting whisper.
I taught my kids that when they were, I don't know, 4, 5. Then again, every minute I have had a chance to ever since then.
Yeah.
And it's like built into their DNA now. But, you know, it comes out if you actually really embody that. It's subtle, but you find it
Just the tool,
life is
people.
just a little easier. Like, you know.
I love that. Thank you for being here, Matt.
That was my pleasure.
Not just in the podcast, but also in the movement as a founding member. It's so cool to have that inner family dancing together and creating possibilities and other stuff. It's so awesome. If you're listening and you feel a spark, please follow it. Nonlinear thinking is not a strategy, it's not a tool. It's a kind of love, and it grows where we share it. Thank you, Matt Hampton. You're awesome.
Anytime, man. Love it.
Thank you.
Take care.